Folks, greetings and welcome to Global Leadership Perspective. And today I just want to follow up and make completely brief statement and my thoughts where some of the international trips that the President, Mr. Ruto, is of late, actually since inauguration in the office, has been making. And lately, he is seen to be very vocal, and the content of his conversation appears to be around Africa, the issues of Africa, and how Africa needs to be respected and how it's not supposed to be taken for granted, and also indicating that Africa is not in the business of borrowing, but they are also there as equal partners in the global perspective. Well, I want to appreciate and acknowledge, as I've done in one of my videos before, that those were good statements and thoughts. But I have come to think about it again, and it appears in my own view that Mr. Ruto's kind of statements, and especially where Africa is concerned, is a decoy. I'm suggesting that it is a decoy because you cannot talk, you cannot lecture about, for example, democracy and how African and how he is there to appreciate and advance the benefits of democracy, when back at home he is a victim. He is seen to be unleashing and at the same time killing democracy. How? When you dismantle the parties in the country by buying the members of parliament, dismantling the political parties because you do not want them to exist, you want to enjoy the monopoly. This undermines and contradicts the kind of the statements and lectures he's making outside there as a Democrat. And so in that view, then I will be reluctant to appreciate and acknowledge that his statements are meant to really to help the Africa. So back at home, he's not doing that. When the opposition indicates that they want to be out to demonstrate, picket, because of a few reasons or many reasons, and also when the civil society come out to picket and demonstrate, the government is very quick to unleash terror to them through the police, and at times even end up killing the people demonstrating. And this is indeed not in the spirit of advancing democracy. And so that undermines or cancels the kind of the statements he's making outside there. And number two, it appears he would want to raise his international portfolio, and especially by appearing as a statesman and somebody who is concerned by lifting the interests of Africa. Well, it is possible that can happen, but you know, if back at home you do not meet the threshold, you are indeed doing the opposite of what you are preaching outside there from an continent platform, then it undermines and negates the very reason why you are making such kind of statements. So I feel on the continental stage is making those kind of statements, but when he comes back at home, he does completely something different. And so this does not help in raising his international portfolio. Rather, it kills it indirectly. The other thing that I also think where this is concerned, because there are specific things he has talked about. For example, he's talked about Africa do not need to borrow. Africa do not need grants. And at the same time, back at home, he is interested in lifting the ceiling so that Kenya can borrow more than it is supposed to borrow. At the same time, he is busy as the government looking for loans and grants to run the government. Whereas in the continental platform, international platform, he is seen as somebody who is indeed preaching against that and rebuking even the international community of thinking and taking Africa for granted. And so that, in my own view and perspective, really negates the very reason to why he's making such a kind of statement. But again, the politician in him that people should know, or we know, he would want to take that kind of advantage so as to lift his profile and his visibility in the continent of Africa and also in the international limelight. And that's why he would, because he knows the kind of things that he needs to talk about, the things that would put him on the limelight. People will talk about him, but not because he's convinced and convicted those are the things that need to be done, or not because he is living out those kind of things as a leader, as a president of one of the African continent, but because he wants to raise his political visibility in the continent and also in the international community. And the other thing that I alluded again in one of the videos is that I feel and convinced that the kind of the utterances he's making where Africa is concerned in the perspective of the continent has to do with with him as a president really not talking about the interest of Africa, but somebody somewhere is using him to advance certain statement for their own benefits. And I want you to look at it especially in the context of BRICS. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what your thoughts are. You are obliged to agree or disagree with my views, but I feel that is what I wanted to say at the moment. The King bless you, and the King bless Africa.